How exactly did you raise the capital to start your first business?
When we talk about money, the first capital you need is your head. We started real estate by negotiating for land that we didn't make any down payment.
So do you think opportunities like that still exist for entrepreneurs?
Such opportunities are available everywhere. You just need to look.
Sunday Olorunsheyi built 12 thriving companies, turned pain into power, and now mentors millions to rise and build empires.
That desperation to make things happen positively will always push you to ask. And mind you, it's possible you ask and you get a no. Real estate is one of the fastest routes to getting cash flow in your life. Real estate thrives on information. You have to be innovative. The reason is we have too many people coming into that space. And if you are coming in and you want to do the same thing, you're just coming into a red ocean. If you want to do real estate, especially in a place like Nigeria, you need...
What was growing up like for you? In terms of money, was there any memory you had that shaped your money belief while you were growing up?
Wow. This is an interesting question because when you talk about money in the environment where we grew up, it's not a popular subject, especially talking about how it formed our growing up. We just saw money as something that you should have, at least to meet basic needs. There was no intentional guidance or passing across messages about money. We just observed people around us work every day, and the only reason why they are working is to make money so they can spend. So growing up, it was a bit tough. Some people were given birth with a silver spoon, like they say. Some might be gold, some wood, right? But for some of us, without a spoon, there was no spoon at all. So that made it a bit tough. I grew up in a barracks. My dad was in the military, not a top military officer. So it was literally basic level of life, at least being able to feed and go to school. And growing up in that kind of environment, somehow we felt contented with what we had. It wasn't surplus, but we were happy growing up. Until some years down the line, when my dad left the military and wasn't working. And whatever was coming as a pension was not good enough to take care of the family. So we slided into a level where even to feed once a day became an uphill task for my parents. So at that point, we knew how important the subject of money was, and that was part of the motivation that pushed us as kids to start understanding the importance of money. From that point forward, the things we learned about money were not necessarily from our parents, but from opening up to information out there. I know in the course of this podcast, we'll still get to talk about some of these things. But interestingly, growing up at the early stage, there was no foundation about money. There was no knowledge. We just saw people work, and the purpose why they're working is just to make money and spend.
So growing up in that situation, what was that moment that spurred you to want to do things differently when it comes to finances?
That was the darkest moment, when things were terribly tough and we could not feed. I don't want to tell the story because we're at a state where even the poor called us poor. It was that bad at that state. It was terrible, and it was more like as kids, we saw our parents loved us so much, but they were helpless when it comes to taking care of basic needs. And I mean as small as feeding. For a young lad of still in your early teenage, have to go through a whole day without food. The next day you are not sure where the food will come from. At that point, I started asking myself questions like, what does it really take to make money? Of course, we're brought up in an environment where we value integrity, There's this common saying in Yoruba land, I will interpret in English saying, Roti omweni tonche. So that's remember the son or the daughter of who you are. So every time we go out, that keeps ringing in our head. So you don't want to do anything that is not legal to make money. But that question kept coming. So how are we going to come out of this? So that their need to solve a problem, not just for myself, but for my family. And I mean my parents now, just brought that, inquisitiveness inside of me. And I just wanted to know. I wanted to know. And the thing about knowledge, the more you go for it, the more of it you ingest inside of you, it will definitely affect the world around you. So for me, the darkest moment of our lives as a family spurred me to start investigating. They say in Africa that most times when you are rich, people want to investigate the source of your riches.
Nobody
But
investigates
when
the
you
poor.
are poor, but you know what? You got to investigate the source of the poverty yourself. Nobody will investigate it for you. So that investigation into the reason why we were poor as a family at that point, brought knowledge, and knowledge brought liberation.
When exactly did this liberation come, and how did it happen?
Okay, one thing about success is that it is first within before it happens without. So the liberation did not come when I started making money. The liberation came when my mind became liberated. I remember as far back as 30 years ago, as a teenager, I would stand boldly, even in the midst of abject poverty, to announce that I can never be poor. Those statements sounded like just empty barrel making noise.
But you meant it,
I
didn't you?
meant it because there was a light that I caught at that point that made it clear to me that if I keep doing what I started doing now, and I stay consistent doing it, there's no way I will ever be poor. And there's power in studying people that have achieved things before you. So it's more like I've seen the people that became prosperous, and I followed them. And I started asking, how did you get here? And they showed me the path that if you can do A, B, C, D, it will lead you to X, Y, Z. And X, Y, Z is that destination. And I resolved within me, I'm willing to do that A, B, C, D. So at the point I made that decision that I was willing to do the A, B, C, D, I knew I cannot be poor. So I started announcing it. So for me, it wasn't when money came. It was the point when light came. And it just became very obvious to me that if I do the things that wealthy people did, I will become wealthy.
So while all of this was going on, to be candid, did anyone in your family at that point believe that you'd be successful?
I give it to my parents, right? As at that point, they might not be financially okay, but they believed in their children. I give a practical example. I started out in life by saying I wanted to become an engineer. I'm just painting a story of how much our parents believed in us. So, and why did I choose to be an engineer? I had a friend then, a senior friend that was like two classes ahead of me, and he would always take me through tutorials. So I learned further maths, physics, and chemistry from him. And he would always tell me then that, see, engineering is what he was going to do. And he would advise me that I should be an engineer because as a science student, that's the best thing. But he also told me then that if you want to be an engineer, don't go to the university, go to Polytechnic. See, that's why you have to be careful, the people you listen to. He did that genuinely without no harm because he also went to the Polytechnic, right? So he said that's the best place because you'll be well trained, you'll be well groomed, you experience practical, So I chose that path, and I told my dad I was going to be an engineer. So I got into the Polytechnic. I didn't even write exams to go to the university because I was resolute about being an engineer, and going to Polytechnic was what I was told would be the best option. Now, while studying, I was through with the first year, ND1, I was in ND2, and somehow I just started having this feeling like, no, I wanted to study medicine. Maybe as at that point, I started seeing medical doctors as more doing well than engineers. And I'm like, what am I doing in this engineering thing? And I called my dad and said, sir, I think I want to be a medical doctor. I remember that conversation. It was in the night. We stood outside of the house. He didn't even argue. I'm telling you, he said, if that's what you want to do, you've got my support. So I wrote, I started writing JAM so I could become a medical doctor. Now, I wrote the first JAM, did well. I didn't meet up the cutoff because those days there was no money to influence anything. It's either you get it on merit or you forget about it. So we knew nobody that could influence anything. So you will even see people scoring lower than you in the same university, studying the same course you were trying to go for, and you're not getting it. So by the second time I wrote, I didn't get into medicine again, but this time around I got into microbiology. Now listen. So I told myself, okay, I'm going to do very well with this microbiology such that I can, at some point pivot or move into medicine. I still wanted to study medicine. Now, I got to year 2 in the university, and for the first time, I started praying and also looking out for what is it that is unique about me? What do I really want to do with my life? And that was where a lot of picture just came to me about my journey in life, the things I have been doing from my teenage, since I became very much aware of myself to that point. And I realized that no, business is what I'm cut out for. And I was already in year 2. At that point, I knew I wasn't going to do anything with the microbiology I was studying. So now I had to reach out to my dad again and say, Dad, now listen, I know we had a contract, I was going to study medicine, but this time around, I think I'm very clear. This is about purpose, right? I'm going into business. But don't worry, I'm going to complete this degree. I'm not stopping. So I did where I completed my degree in microbiology. But right from the very first year that I left the university, my first exposure to the labor market was right in the field of business. And I've been there up to when I became an entrepreneur. That tells you how I've always had that support, from my parents. And I would say they saw it. If they don't believe in me or in us, because by the grace of God, my siblings, everybody, they're doing well. If they don't believe in us, there's no way they will be that supportive. Most parents would have said no. Especially when you say you are living a dream to become a medical doctor for some business that they don't even know.
That's very atypical of a Nigerian parent or an African parent. Yeah.
So that support was there. They believed in us, our parents. Yeah.
So how exactly did you raise the capital to start your first business? And what was it?
I know people don't like hearing stories about you don't need money to start a business, you don't need capital. It's no matter how much you argue with that, it's the fact. And let me explain why it's the fact. You can have all the money in the world and still fail in business. So when we talk about money, we tell people that the first capital you need is this is your capital, your brain, your head. That's your head office. That's where you should start from. And for us, when we're going to start, we had a mentor, Dr. Lumide Emmanuel, that told us about selling for his business. As at then, he had this plot of land somewhere and he was selling for 500,000. And this was the deal he gave us. Guys, I'm selling for 500,000. I'm willing to pay you 5% commission. But this is what we're going to do. 5% of 500,000 is 25,000. The first 25,000 the customer pays. I'm going to pay you your commission upfront. And that was like, for real? That was how we started, right?
Did he broker this kind of deal to many other people?
Yeah, many other people.
Really?
But if you have an eagle eye and you can see opportunity, you jump at things like that. And that was how we started, right? So we sold for him. But for us, we weren't just selling. We wanted to learn. What is it that can make this man put this kind of offer on the table? And we got closer to him and said, sir, we want to do this same business. what will it require? And we enrolled to learn that business from him. And well, for about 1 year, we're doing that for him, selling. Interestingly, as at when we're going to start our own, we did not have a dime, as in like money saved up to start a business. We just knew it was time. So what we needed to do was to leverage the network that we have built. So we got a product. We started real estate by negotiating for land that we did not pay we didn't make any down payment. We went to the owners of the land and said, see, you can trust us with this property. Please release it to us. We're going to sell. Give us 6 months and we will pay you for this land.
And the owner agreed?
Yeah, and they agreed. That was how we started. When we started, after 2 weeks, we said, can you permit us to just put our signage on this land? So when people come around, they can at least connect, the property to us.
Yeah.
And again, they agreed.
Wow.
And we placed our signage on the land. And that was how we started marketing. We told them 6 months. In 3 months, we were done selling. We did not have to put money down. And that was how we started. And that was the only place we bought without putting money down. Because we did that so well, we had money to do the next project. So in the real sense, we did not put money down. Yet we started the business. We had the boldness to ask for what we wanted, and it was given. And that was how we started.
So do you think opportunities like that still exist today for entrepreneurs, particularly in the real estate sector?
Maybe not as much in the real estate sector like it used to be, but such opportunities are available everywhere. You just need to look inwards and be bold enough to ask. That desperation to make things happen positively will always push you to ask. And mind you, it's possible you ask and you get a no. But no is not actually no in the real definition. It's just telling you to ask again or ask the next person. So don't take no for discouragement. Don't let that put you down. That wasn't our first ask. Yeah, we've asked for things before that people turned us down. But that did not deter us. I kept asking until I got it. So such opportunities are still very much available.
You got this deal from Dr. Olumide Emmanuel, you sold, and then you got your capital.
Correct.
And then you did that with other people.
Correct.
If I hear correctly. So how then did you move from that point to building what is now known today as Pertinence? What were the steps you took? What were the projects, additional opportunities, land, that you got? Can you just take us through that stage as concisely as possible?
All right. You see, there are two major things that will transform any man. And when I say any man, I mean any man. Number one, your big picture. What is it that you're saying about yourself, about your future? How big is that thing? That's the first thing. The next thing is information about how you can achieve that big picture. Once you have those two things, they work hand in hand, you can achieve just about anything. So for us in business, we might have started the way we started what I just shared with you, but there was a big picture of building a conglomerate. Now, if you look at the mission statement of our business, which I was privileged to craft ever before the business started, and it has not changed up till now, it will tell you about the big picture. Because we made it as simple as we're here to play a significant role in global, look, mark the word, firstly, significant. This has been for about 15 years now. Significant role in global, mark the word again, global. So it means from day one, we saw ourselves from a global perspective, right? So playing a significant role in global enterprise development. So we already knew that it's not just about building businesses for us to make money, but to create enterprises, that whatever we're doing will be a foundation for many other businesses to rise. So global enterprise development and people empowerment. So just mark all of those words, people empowerment. So if you see us do big things like rewarding people, taking people on all expense paid trip abroad, giving out cars, giving houses, all of those stuffs, we knew If you see us organizing capacity building events, spending millions of naira and gathering thousands without charging them a dime. So we knew that from the beginning. Global enterprise development and people empowerment. And we said we'll do that by creating strategic opportunities for people to attain business and financial freedom. That was the big picture, even when there was nothing on the table. So the next thing was, how are we going to get here? And we started seeking for information. I observed that we have many young people in this age that are not willing to settle down to learn. We just want to get it fast, fast, fast. If you are a big picture thinker, you will not ever think 12 months. You will not think 3 years. Your thinking will start from 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. That was how we started. And now we are thinking centenary. We are looking at building businesses that will last 100 years and more. And that's part of what I've seen in some developed climes. It's easy. I was in Malaga, Spain, just a few days ago, and we're having some city tour. And the tour guide took us to an ice cream store where I picked up ice cream. And he told me how that this store has been in existence for maybe 113 years thereabout, selling what? Ice cream for 113 years. That's the big picture thinking. You might be starting as a local business, but you think global. And you keep asking, follow people that have done what you have done and ask how they do it. And for us, it's been a major part of growth. Listening to people, talking to mentors, trying to connect with people that have done what you have done and seeing how they did it.
I want us to, of course, you're in Nigeria today, as of today, of course, easily, you're one of the leading lights when it comes to real estate. Real estate's development, real estate's the value chain across board. And real estate right now is one of the popular places that young Africans want to play in today.
Right.
And of course, you see many people going there. Some thrive, some struggle, and whatnot. For someone who is in that shoe today, who wants to go into that business, you've been there, you've done that.
Yeah.
You've done billions.
Yeah.
Can you give us a very short masterclass on what it takes to succeed in that space?
All right. I tell people, real estate is one of the fastest route to getting cash flow in your life. Mind you, I didn't say profit or making money. Cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. Yeah. Take note. Real estate we have many kings of cash flow. Real estate is one of those kings that will help you solve cash flow problem. So I always encourage young people that wants to go into real estate as maybe property developers, or you want to sell land, you want to do this. It's a good space to come into. But it's also easy for you to sleep when you are in that sector. One major temptation is for you to assume that the monies that comes to you in real estate, that all of it is your money. You can easily fall into that error. In the actual sense, you see money, passing through your bank accounts, but mind you, they're customers' money. So I tell most of the mentees coming into the industry that's the first temptation you should resist. Resist trying to live large, and when you have not attained the status of that largeness that you want to live in. Very important. Many people want to come into real estate today because they see the extravagant lifestyle of most people. You see somebody get into real estate, and in 2-3 years, the next thing he already has a G-Wagon, has 2-3 policemen going about with him, and you're wondering, how on earth do you get these things done? In some cases, they might not have made profit, and all of this backfires. So that's why I know a number of them that have come into the scene, and in less than 5 years, you can't find them. It's either they have escaped or they are nowhere, they've gone under, and like that. So I will advise, firstly, that if you're going into real estate, be mindful of that. That is the first thing. Secondly, you need to be in the right company if you want to do well in real estate. Real estate thrives on information. Look at my experience, how we started. We moved closer to someone that has done it, and he had to put us through how he started. The way we started was how he started. So he showed us the way and gave us that courage to go ask for it. And we asked for it. And it worked for us. So you need to hang around people that are already doing it. The third thing is you should think innovation. If you want to do real estate now, you have to be innovative. The reason is we have too many people coming into that space. And if you are coming in and you want to do the same thing that every other person is doing, you're just coming into a red ocean. And you have too many sharks in that ocean that are ready to eat you up, to swallow you. But if you are able to carve a niche for yourself and say, see, I'm in real estate, but I have a particular market I want to serve. Imagine coming into real estate and say all you want to do is to serve civil servant. And even the civil servant, you now narrowed it down to maybe teachers. And you are trying to design a product for teachers nationwide. So it's more like a crusade, a campaign that these teachers have impacted our lives. We can't be where we are today without them, but yet most of them are not economically empowered. I want to design a product that will make it easy for teachers to own homes. Before you know it, you start seeking for partnerships, maybe with the government. And I say, government, every one of you in government today, you were raised by teachers. Wouldn't it be nice for you to give us 500 acres of land so we can empower these teachers that brought every one of us to the level we are right now? You move away from there, you go to MTN, you go to Glo. You know, all of these companies, they have funds for impact project. Mind you, you are doing real estate, but from an impact point of view. So that's a way to pick an industry, and from that industry, you flesh out something and you begin to do it. So I'll guide people, if you're coming into real estate now, come with something new. Be innovative, be creative about it. Then above all, if you want to do real estate, especially in a place like Nigeria, since you narrowed it a little bit to Nigeria, you need lots of information about what is happening. Things are changing rapidly. Government policies, very, very important. The consumer behavior too, right now, is different from what it used to be. Those days, I told you we just went to ask for land, we were given, and people will come to the site, you just show them some plots of land, you have not even cleared, and yet they will pay. Today, they want you to fence it, they want the site and services in place and like that. And if you are not prepared, if you don't know how to fund those kind of activities, you might struggle. But apart from that, there are many aspects of real estate today. People just need to think. Anyway, you said a mini masterclass. I don't want to turn it to a full-blown masterclass. Maybe we should hold it there.
Don't mind,
Let
yeah,
people
but
ready
come
start
back to
for.
But you were going to talk about other areas of real estate people have not even touched.
Yeah. There are many others. Again, you need to be creative about it. Almost every industry has real estate embedded in it. Yeah. Okay, what if I tell you that even having cemeteries is a form of real estate? Whether we like it or not, people die every day. And when they die, they need a place where they will be buried. Some of them want to choose the way and the kind of place they like to be buried. Some of the best places we know of, they are already getting too occupied and busy. How many people are thinking of buying land and just making it neat and clean and make it a cemetery? And because I travel to different parts of the world, I see some cemeteries and I'm like, do you mean dead people stay here compared to what we see? Because everywhere is clean, green. You can even sleep there all night without having any feeling of you have the buried people around there. How many of us in real estate are thinking about creating something like that? So that's real estate. In the hospitality sector, you can see how real estate is transforming. Many people today have no business living in those big houses they are living in because economically they are challenged right now. What they should be doing is to look at how they can repackage that house where they live in that looks too large for them and start making money. It's either you move to a smaller house or you do it in a way you don't need more than 2 rooms and the other part of the house is generating money. You're in real estate already. If you do it so well, your neighbor will call you to come and manage it. That's real estate. So there are many other parts of real estate. Like I said, when we have a full-blown masterclass, we'll discuss all of this.